The simplest example is a bag of potato chips, where the average bag of potato chips has actually gone down by 50%. Apparently since the 90s. Shrinkflation, form of inflation. But it's kind of aggravating because companies try to hide it from the consumer. So even though the bags of chips look nice and plumpy, almost balloon-like, well, it's because they are balloon-like. They're pumped full of air. A few examples that are really glaringly obvious in today's time. You can access this on their website, target.com. Here we're looking at Doritos Flaming Hot Nacho. So both bags are sitting at $5.19, but one bag is 9.25 ounces and the other is 9.75 ounces. That is shrinkflation, getting less for the same cost. Another clear example is Gatorade. They redesigned their bottles, supposed to be more aerodynamic for your hands to grab. What a load of baloney, of course. They're both the same flavor. And companies will always BS their way into explaining shrinkflation. For example, Gatorade representative said, "We redesigned the bottle to be more aerodynamic and easier to grab." This is really what it's about. It's so you can grab it much easier. It's not about the reduction in volume. It's not about the bottle costing the same between 32 ounces and 28 ounces. What's funny about the Gatorade bottle, the height is the same, nearly the thickness is the same. Just in the center, you know, they squeeze that center. So one sneaky way of tricking the customer basically to keep buying your product, keep the price the same, give them slightly less. Less beer, less Gatorade, less potato chips, less everything. Here on the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, they actually have a chart for average price of potato chips, cost per 16 ounces. So we can see that going from 2020, January 2020, 4.49 to the latest figures sitting at 6.623. That is a huge increase. Venture to say this is actually closer to the actual inflation rate, the real inflation rate that we're all experiencing, not the BS number that's cooked. Even something as simple as a bottle of alcohol, rubbing alcohol, used to cost 90 cents, $1. Last time I went to Wally World, it was $3. That is a massive increase. This is where you actually get to see the real inflation take place. Prices were to go up. Of course, the customers are going to notice. They're going to notice the big price increase if it's 15, 20, 30, 40%. And then they're going to stop buying, potentially. So of course, companies themselves experience inflation, costs to operate, and they pass this along to us, the consumers. So because of general inflation, companies need to decrease the amount of stuff they put in order for the profits to remain about the same. They're perfect examples of what is happening, not only with inflation, but of course, shrinkflation. That is kind of gaslighting customers. Bags full of air, just so silly. So we have inflation, shrinkflation, and now you put those two things together and you get greedflation. Okay, so the term is kind of wonky, but it's pretty obvious that there are a lot of companies getting extremely greedy. They're basically taking advantage of inflation by doing the whole shrinkflation, leading to greedflation. And this article by the Times called "Companies Push Prices Higher, Protecting Profits but Adding to Inflation." So essentially they're trying to maybe make an excuse, basically saying that companies bear some responsibility for these crazy high prices that we're seeing. And I totally agree with that. One of their biggest examples is Pepsi Company, which owns Gatorade, Lay's chips, Doritos, Tropicana. They own a lot of stuff. Even Aquafina. So they highlight that Pepsi across the board has increased its price, roughly about 16%. But of course, this is higher than the on-the-books inflation rate of 4.9%, 4.9%. So basically, greedflation is the companies using inflation, scaring the consumers essentially, and jacking up their prices to the point of their profit margins are getting larger. Pepsi CFO was on Bloomberg TV and he basically said that customers are willing to pay a higher price for Pepsi products. Why wouldn't they take advantage of this? He went as far as saying that profit margins might actually increase in 2023 because people are willing to pay jacked up prices for all this junk food, for all these low quality products, essentially. They're addictive, low quality products, salt and sugar. So of course, despite transportation costs coming down, gas prices now is making the products cheaper to transport, we still have high prices with these products. The New York Times also highlights the Producer Price Index, the prices businesses pay for goods and services before selling on to consumers. This rate last month was at 2.3. This is a lot lower than last year, same time last year, which was 11.7% or so. So all this inflation fear-mongering has caused these companies to take advantage of the fear and jack up the prices. Greedflation. And these prices are not coming down, clearly. For example, McDonald's reported a net income of $1.8 billion this first quarter. Same period last year, they sat at $1.1 billion. And a lot of it has to do with them jacking up their prices. A lot of these products are not very healthy, not very good for you, of course. So the way to bring down prices is essentially the Bud Light treatment. Love or hate Bud Light, this whole boycott of Bud Light has basically brought the prices to a rock bottom level, to the point of almost being free. Cheaper than water. So if you're sick of high prices, if you're sick of shrinkflation, if you're sick of greedflation, just stop buying the products. And absolutely a massive correction to these ridiculous prices definitely needs to happen, and it will happen if people stop paying such high prices. It's like cars, not even a trusty beater, and people are asking ridiculous prices. Here's one example. This guy rolled over, crashed, asking $1,000. He has the balls to put this ad up, even while the SUV is upside down. Absolute insanity. And you find examples like this all over the place. So to everyone out there, please stop paying high prices for all these products. It's not worth it. If we all just tame our buying a little bit, the prices will start to come down. All right, guys, well, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash like if you haven't. Please do subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.